In our sociolinguistic analysis, we choose two powerful figures, which are Greta Thunberg, a Swedish youth activist known for her bold protests, and David Suzuki, a Canadian environmental scientist and a long-time sustainability advocate. The speech that we selected from these two figures are Thunberg's 2019 UN Climate Summit speech and Suzuki's 2019 Vancouver Climate Rally speech. These figures were chosen because they represent generational, professional, and linguistic diversity, and their speeches have reached global audiences and continues to inspire action worldwide. For our theoretical framework, we focus on two sociolinguistic concepts, which is register and identity. Register is how language changes depending on purpose, context, and audience. Each speaker, Thunberg and Suzuki, uses different language styles to connect with their audience and clearly deliver their climate message. Identity in sociolinguistics refer to the traits, beliefs, and behaviors that define a person or group. Language use varies based on factors like age, gender, race, and class. We also connect this to the environmental component of ESG. Both Thunberg and Suzuki discuss how human actions impact the environment. They use identity and register to express their environmental concerns. For our methodology, we selected the 2019 speeches of Greta Thunberg and David Suzuki as both delivered powerful messages about the environmental crisis at key public events, the UN Climate Summit and a Vancouver Climate Rally. These speeches were chosen because both figures are globally recognized for their advocacy in climate justice and sustainability, making their language rich for analysis. The data was collected from official transcripts and video recordings to maintain authenticity and ensure accurate representation of their speech styles. We applied close reading to understand the structure and flow, conducted word-level analysis to examine tone and choice of vocabulary, and explored their speech techniques such as emotional appeal, repetition, and rhetorical questions to see how they engage and persuade their audience.
For analysis and discussion, I will briefly compare how Greta Thunberg and David Suzuki uses language to inspire urgent climate action. Firstly, their use of register in sociolinguistic terms. Greta uses a formal and emotional language, a language style that conveys strong personal feeling to provoke response and inspire action. For example, she says, "You say you hear us and that you understand the urgency. However, I do not want to believe that." These strong emotional styles demands immediate action and grabs attention. David Suzuki, on the other hand, mixes informal, friendly language with scientific facts. He says things like, "Man, do people get mad at me when I say things like that?" which creates a conversational tone and makes him more approachable. Other than that, he also includes scientific facts such as, "We are on a trajectory for beyond the 1.5 Celsius target, but can stay within it if we cut emissions by 45% by 2030, which adds credibility. Next, the sociolinguistic element, identity. Greta creates a strong youth identity by showing young people as both leaders and victims. She says, "You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words," highlighting how the older generations have failed them. She also warned, "And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you," making a clear moral demand. Suzuki shows a layered identity as a scientist, elder, and indigenous people supporter. He respects indigenous people by saying, "And it has been indigenous people here who have taught me all about our responsibility to care for nature." He promotes shared responsibility across generations by thanking young people and urging people to make climate change. Finally, the environmental message. Greta's direct and emotional tone, like her famous "How dare you?" challenges leaders and motivates young people to act for change. Meanwhile, Suzuki's calm and respectful tone, combined with science and tradition, encourages reflection and unity. He inspires collective action based on knowledge and respect. For linguistic variations, Greta often uses pronoun to create a clear divide. You points to leaders who are responsible for inaction, while we represents young people who demand change. This highlights a generational conflict and stresses moral agency and accountability. In contrast, David Suzuki uses rhetorical questions like, do we care about our children's future, to engage listeners and encourage reflection. His message focuses on intergenerational responsibility, appealing to shared values to all ages to protect the planet together. To conclude, our analysis shows that identity and language register strongly influence how environmental messages are delivered. Greta Thunberg uses a bold and confrontational tone, reflecting her role as young activist. This style demands urgent action and highlights moral responsibility. In contrast, David Suzuki adopts a casual and informative style, fitting his role as respected scientist. His approach encourages reflection and shared responsibility. Both of their speeches support the ESG values by being honest, clear, and responsible. Looking ahead for future research, we could explore how different communities respond to ESG messages to improve global climate communication.